I am gonna weigh in on the most recent debate between relationship guru in air quotes. I've heard some people describe him as such, and versus Andrew Wilson. Okay, Coach Greg Adams versus Andrew Wilson. One is a proudly self-proclaimed heathen, and the other one was arguing, the state of marriages from a religious standpoint. Now, I am a regular viewer of CGA, Coach Greg Adams, okay? And he's built up quite the audience, quite the loyal following over the years. Because to his credit, I do admit he says a lot of insightful, not incorrect talking points. Okay? And in our sphere, I've learned that our sphere is largely made up of flawed characters. You can make the argument for all of us, okay? We're not perfect, we're all flawed. It really breaks my heart when I'm hearing a vast majority of the Red Pill audience, viewers, subscribers, they have this sort of like the slight towards those who are more religious, more towards the Christian, those who are of the Christian persuasion. Okay, I've heard people like Rollo Tomasi talk about, those guys, people like Chris Williamson. He utters that name quite often. That's how I know about it. I know about him. I don't want to argue against those who use the Christ pill, because as soon as you put God, as soon as you inject God in the equation, it makes it hard to argue against or detract, because now it's more of a moralistic standpoint. And my assertion is, why is that a bad thing? Why is arguing certain talking points from a religious standpoint seen as a bad thing? Granted, some people, like Charlie Kirk, would hide behind it as a means to sort of like bastardize their arguments. Fair point. But that does not make the supposed Christ pill wrong. Coach Greg Adams, he wasn't wrong when he says that when he argued Hafiz and say that there's no God in marriage, as in, if you get married, the courts or the state gets involved, and that's who dictates your terms. Okay? If there's a divorce, now you're ordered to pay child support, alimony for centuries. I totally understand both arguments. Okay, I understand Coach Greg Adams' arguments, and I also understand Andrew Wilson's argument. But please, folks, understand this. Most people inherently would love to get married and settle down with children and a family. Eventually, sooner or later, it is inevitable. So, when Coach Greg Adams, you see, I was heading. Sorry. Most people would love to start a family, to have a family and settle down eventually. This is I think, the main reason why Kevin Samuels blew up in fame, became as popular as he was. Now, Coach Greg Adams, I've seen Coach Greg Adams take like this victory lap over his supposed win over Andrew Wilson. You see, the truth is, in that debate, there's no obvious winner, there's no obvious loser. It's all based on it all depends on which camp you are from. If you're from the CGA camp, obviously you're from the heathenistic free agent lifestyle camp. Obviously you're gonna side with. It's 50-50. Most people agree. They want to end up with families. Okay, and the problem with Coach Greg Adams is he is a person that I consider to be broken. Now, by his own admission, he grew up with a single mother. His parents divorced, they separated, and look, there's a saying that goes like this: broken people will replicate broken behaviors. And of course, a lot of the people that follow CGA are obviously, so if you subscribe to the free agent lifestyle, I hear his super chats. Okay, the people that super chats during his live streams. Yeah, facts, coach. Facts, coach. Free agent lifestyle. JUCO. Okay, the clapping sounds. So, in other words, you're a heathen. And this is not me disrespecting him. He admits it himself. CGA is not he's not religious. And here lies the problem with those who do not have a religious backbone. You start to cultivate other people because most people in this world are broken. And if you galvanize enough broken people, obviously you're going to come across as if you're right. Folks, most relationships, yeah, they fall off the cliff. It's sad and unfortunate, but we are better off as a society leaning towards being pro-marriage. Because if you want to live by the heathenistic lifestyle of the free agent lifestyle philosophy, what is it that you're really doing? What results are you actually producing? You're leaving behind a trail of 304s, the ones that you claim are now prevalent in our society via OnlyFans and these 18-year-olds. So in other words, you are sleeping with and tainting someone's future wife. Now listen, call me a simp, call me whatever. I don't really care how I come across. Okay? What is good for society long term, ultimately? We cannot end up in a society where, and this is a tribute to Myron as well, telling young men to sleep with at least 50 women in order for them to get a hang or an inkling. You don't need to sleep with one woman. Just conduct yourself like a mature adult. It's not incumbent upon the system. Yes, the marriage laws are in such a way. I understand. The reason why relationships fail is because we have a broken culture. We have a broken modern contemporary culture. It is not incumbent upon the system to ensure that relationships and marriages last as long as they will, long term. It is incumbent upon us. You see, I thought we were autonomous beings. What happened to accountability? What happened to personal responsibility? It is incumbent upon the men and the women themselves to make sure that their marriages last. Our parents, my parents, our grandparents have been through hell with each other, plus external forces, and they were still married. My parents are still married, and they have seen the buttocks of what hell looks like. and yet somehow they're still married till this day. What do you prefer? Do you prefer following the philosophy of those who come from broken homes, like CGA? And I'm only saying this because he mentioned this. He mentioned this himself. Or do you prefer to follow those who come from good stock, who come from healthy backgrounds, who would rather motivate and sort of like encourage other people to say, hey, listen, you can get married. Sure, you can get screwed over, you can, but really for truly, this whole fear of a woman taking half your assets, most of you do not have enough assets for a woman to want to take in the first place. You're an average middle-class citizen. You don't have much. That advice is tailor-made for high-value men, rich celebrities, upper six-figure earners, and that's just entry level. People like Elon Musk, they have a valid excuse. People like Cristiano Ronaldo, they have a valid excuse. But you own a broken down old Toyota Corolla. Hey? What excuse do you have? You do not have an excuse talking about, I'm afraid she's going to steal half my stuff. You don't have any money. You're broke. You don't have much for a woman to take anyway. So please stop viewing yourself through celebrity lenses, because you're not. You really aren't. It is incumbent upon people to make sure that they... Look, according to the statistics, I don't want to come across as naive or ignorant, okay? Yes, relationships nowadays, they end up in a train wreck, in a train smash. Why? Because we have encouraged. You can blame Instagram. You can blame OnlyFans. You can blame whatsoever. The two parties that make the element that ends a relationship is the person themselves. It's the person themselves. Either the man or the woman or both of them. Now, yes, you can make the argument for women that women from back in the day, they used to be able to withstand more. And modern women nowadays, if you sneeze so much as sneeze the wrong way, divorce. Sure. But you understand that that's a personal decision. Because the courts can't force you to divorce. As much as they can't force you to marry, they can't force you to divorce. Because if you still want to be together, the broken wheel, the squeaky wheel, is the individual or individuals, both parties, that make the decision to end the relationship. We are better off preaching personal accountability, personal responsibility, changing our modern contemporary culture for the better, to strengthen people's religious backbones. Because without religion, we're broken. We are without guidance. We have no moral standpoints. We don't have a moral leg to stand on. This is why people make all these dumb decisions. Another thing, CGA, you go around to these multiple countries, you sleep around with these women, huh? The calico, wow, the flatback supreme. Okay, you can't tell me without look me straight in the eye and say to me that is more fulfilling than your own family. Hey, I bet you won't. I bet you can't. Because you are now the lifestyle that Coach Gray Adams lives right now is a lifestyle of cope. Oh yes, it is. He's coping. It's a lifestyle of cope. And of course, his book, the free agent lifestyle, is just a means to galvanize other broken people so they can trauma bond. Yeah, thanks, coach. I just got my 401k and I'm gonna be clapping cheeks over in Venezuela and Colombia and cope. Whereas you yourselves, you know that it is more fulfilling to start a family, create a family, and maintain that family as long as possible. Sleeping around does not fulfill you. It's not fulfilling. Because what is sleeping around? Humping and poking inside a woman back and forth, in and out for a few minutes. And? And? What else? Folks, look, heathenism must be kept in check. Because that's what Coach Greg Adams is promoting. Now, it really breaks my heart how Andrew Wilson, the way they conducted, he and Sean Kelly, or host of the Digital Social Hour, how they conducted themselves after the interview. Because supposedly, from what Coach Greg Adams explained, Andrew Wilson didn't feel as if he won. You see, now that's a whamming on that is where now I fault Andrew Wilson. You're going over there for the pleasure of blood sport instead of going there to prove a point. And because you didn't conduct yourself accordingly, you now feel insecure to the point where you're now smoking. Oh, damn, how is this gonna look? Oh, Sean, better take the interview down. Sean Kelly took the interview down. Why? It really makes it seem as if the pro-marriage influencers are the evil ones, and they took a loss. Coach Greg Adams went out, he left the venue, with his collar popped up. Yeah, Andrew, we can do this again, no problem. This is what he says. It really, you see, that's the fault of Andrew Wilson. I'd like to reiterate, Kevin Samuels blew up for a reason. Kevin Samuels did not advocate for degeneracy in heathenism like CGA does. Granted, yes, the flaws of Kevin Samuels is his audience was elderly people, women in their 40s who have no hope of marriage because they're way past their prime. They're too old. But I'm pretty sure if that the message of Kevin Samuels would have also echoed and made a positive impact amongst young people, because whether old or young, everyone wants to get married. Well, okay, fine, not everyone. The healthy ones, the more healthy people who actually have a future, who actually have something to lose, the ones who are raised in healthy backgrounds, okay? Yeah, those are the ones that aspire towards marriage and family creation. Now, the broken ones, those are the ones that talk about, facts, coach, facts, yeah, I'm going to be clapping cheeks, coach, yeah, I'm going to be clapping cheeks over in Asia, in the Philippines, JUCO, clapping, I would make the sound with my hands, but I'm holding, but you get the idea. Folks, this whole detraction against marriage, because you're afraid you're going to take half your stuff and there's no benefit for men in marriage. Says who? You have a family that needs to be taken care of, kids that needs to be raised within wedlock. That's the benefit. A family, a healthy one, not a broken one, a healthy one. It saddens me that Coach Greg Adams is, by his own admission, he's not a Christian. He denounces Christianity because of what happened to him. You see, this is a problem with non-religious people. This is the problem with non-religious zealots, miscreants, and scallywags. They think just because they had traumatic events happen in their lives, oh, why didn't God help me? Because if God existed, He would have helped me. He didn't help me then. He must not be real. God doesn't owe you an explanation. It is not our place to understand how God works. Just as us men, we don't take too kindly of women questioning our every motive, our every move. We want women to just shut up and just trust us. Okay? I'm a man, I know what I'm doing. Same applies for the Lord Jesus Christ. It's not our place to question everything. You may have lost a family member, unfortunately. I'm sorry to hear that. You may have had your wife divorced you and you were homeless for a while. I'm sorry to hear that. That's not for you to understand why. You may or you probably you will never know. But it's not your place to understand why. It's your place to trust in the Lord Jesus Christ. I know that's not what most of these heathens want to hear. I understand. Because they don't have a religious backbone, they are of the world. Their greatest claim is in this world. Clapping cheeks of these 304s instead of being fulfilled, raising a family, their own blood. Folks, heathenism must not prevail. This whole sleeping around escapade, free agent lifestyle it's a philosophy of heathens. Yes, Andrew Wilson really somewhat he didn't do himself any favors how he conducts himself. Why delete the video? Why delete the interview? Stand for it. Will Andrew Wilson and Sean Kelly re-upload that video, republish that video, let it show. Because now by deleting it, you're cowering. Andrew Wilson, perhaps not made for this. If you're gonna retract, if you're gonna retreat on your standpoints, maybe perhaps not made for this. You go out there, you put it out there, and you stand on it. You stand 10 toes down. Because if you're gonna retract, you're making your movement look that much worse. And CGA is over there in his house celebrating. Yeah, man. Yeah, look at my items of collections. He's showing off his items. You see, that is someone who is of the world. The greatest heaven is in this world. Showing off his items. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with collecting items. I have collectible items as well. But CGA is drunk off of this pride, this worldly materialistic pride. I have my G-Wagon, and man, these motherfuckers, man, smoking cigars. Look at my collection, man. These niggas ain't shit. Masculinity. A man in his 50s is acting this way, ladies and gentlemen. A man in his 50s is acting as such. Is this who you follow? A heathen as such? Huh? Look, condolences to what happened to CGA in his marriage. Okay? My condolences to his marriage. Just don't make other people follow your footsteps of heathenism and degeneracy. Of just endless fucking and sleeping around. Sleeping around with 2 young girls. Don't those girls have aspirations of being married? And now they're imprinted. They have just yet another body to tally up in their long list of bodies. And now they're going to end up as 304s. 304s aren't born. Prostitutes aren't born, they're made. Heathenism is to be challenged and to be kept in check.